Tatsunoko versus Capcom.
Let's get a few things straight. I'm terrible at fighting games, with the exception of Smash Brothers, so expect to hear that brought up from time to time for comparisons in my review. And my knowledge of the Tatsunoko universe is limited, and by limited, I mean I only know Ken the Eagle, June the Swan, and Joe the Condor from that Robot Chicken sketch. So why on earth did I buy this and review it? Because it's colorful, has Beautiful Joe, and the big selling point has Mega Man. See, Capcom, if you had put Mega Man in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, forget it, it's a dead topic anyway. Tatsunoko vs. Capcom was originally intended to be a Japanese exclusive, and with all the licensing problems in America, it just seemed too difficult to bring it over. I assume it's because different dubbing companies have the rights to different Tatsunoko franchises, same way Shonen Jump has different dubbing companies in America, which is probably why they never localized that Shonen Jump game on the DS. However, due to fan support, Capcom finally brought it stateside in early 2010. So wait, fan support worked for this, but not for this? Capcom needs to get their heads checked. I could be wrong here, but I think a few characters were taken out and some new ones were put in. And there were some animated endings removed, but that's as far as I'm going to research this because, as I said, I'm ignorant about who these Tatsunoko guys are, and fighting games aren't my specialty. So let's see here. You have the arcade mode, survival mode, time attack mode, versus mode, online mode, a training mode, a shop mode, gallery, data, and options. Not in that order. With the arcade mode, you can pick any two characters, unless you choose either the giant mech or whoever this gold-plated refrigerator is, to go through 8 stages fighting random opponents until you reach the boss, which has 3 stages and is incredibly cheap. Completing the arcade mode unlocks an ending for whoever you beat the game with, points to buy stuff in the shop, new costume colors to buy, and after beating it enough times with a Capcom or Tatsunoko character, you'll unlock a new character, and finally, during the credits, you can play as these 3 trying to collect letters that end up saying thank you for playing. Or if you beat the game with Roll, you'll then fly around on a broomstick doing the same thing. Wow, that was incredibly short, and there's really nothing else for me to say about that. Next up is the survival mode, where you just keep fighting opponents until you lose. That's about it. Time attack, where you play 12 stages and see how fast you can beat it. A versus mode to play against a friend. Training is where you practice your moves. An online mode to play against someone online. A shop to buy stuff. A gallery to look at the stuff you bought. Your data information about the game. And options to mess around in. There, the boring stuff is out of the way. Now let's jump into the action. Tatsunoko vs. Capcom plays like a lot of other traditional 2D fighting games, so let's not waste time going over the basics. When you play as 2 characters, you can switch between them when the assist OK icon is up, or you can have the character perform an attack to help you out. Switching between characters is a great way to help keep your opponent off guard, and even get in a quick hit. However, your assist isn't invincible, and can take damage if you're not careful. Also, when you take a hit, your character can slowly start to regain the part in red back. So if you've taken quite a bit of damage, it's best to let your other character take over, as long as they haven't bit the dust yet, or became dust. You can do grabs on the ground or in midair, but if you're fast enough you can break away from them, giving it a nice counter system thing. You also have a small meter at the bottom that builds up a lot when you deliver strong attacks, and builds up a little when you take damage. You can deliver your most powerful attacks when the meter is built up, and you can even have double special attacks, which I have no idea how to pull off. I don't get what you're saying here. I already made it clear I'm not an expert at these types of games. Right. Back to the subject. The specials vary from character to character in terms of either what they do, or if they have to be activated by being attacked. Some specials can only be activated in the air, and some take up 3 energy bars. But most of them will give you a great sense of satisfaction and eye candy. By the way, I always find it so hilarious in fighting games that characters can survive major attacks like this, and then just get knocked out by a simple slap. As I've said earlier, fighting games don't usually appeal to me, even though I grew up button mashing Street Fighter 2 and the first 2 Mortal Kombat games, because I just couldn't understand how to play them properly. But I wanted to check this one out since I wanted to support good third-party titles for the Wii. While I still scratch the top of my head trying to understand what this means, by the way you can bring this up at any time, I found that it makes more sense just playing around and getting a feel of the controls than memorizing this. Seriously, what am I supposed to do, draw a Z on my D-pad? But if anything, that's what makes this game accessible, is that it's easy to pick up and play with enough depth if you want to master it. And while I wanted my main characters to be Beautiful Joe and Mega Man Volnut, they didn't quite live up to my expectations. Don't get me wrong, I still like them, but some of Beautiful Joe's special attacks are pretty poor in my opinion, especially his easy-to-dodge 6-machine cannon, though I love his aerial combos. And due to my button-mashing behavior, I find myself constantly switching through Mega Man's different arm modes, when I really just want the drill. I eventually ended up getting better with the other characters like Roll, Ryu, Chun-Li, Zero, and Tekkaman Blade. And when I pull off their specials, it's a sight to behold. Well, so are a lot of others, but you get my point. I also like that when you beat a stage in the arcade mode, your character will sometimes either comment about the other fighter, or about their own partner. something I hope to see the Smash Bros. Series pick up on instead of just generic taunts that can be directed to anyone. I really only have 2 issues and 1 small gripe about the game. First of all, there's not a whole lot of features to help keep this game replayable. Sure, it's fun using different characters to beat the arcade mode, but it wears thin after a while, and the other shortly mentioned modes aren't exactly addictive. That may seem like a small complaint, especially since fighting games are meant to be played in a versus mode, but it still shows that there isn't a whole lot of content to keep anyone playing non-competitively around. There is the online mode, but unfortunately, it's about as good as Brawl's online mode. It's nice that it's there and it's free, but unless both players have really good internet connections, it's kind of laggy. Oh, and there's only rival, ranked, friend, and free matches, so the online mode isn't that deep. And now my small gripe with the game, and that's how they don't do anything to explain who the Tatsunoko characters are. I know that some of you might know who they are, but in all honesty, how many times do you see them on TV or get referenced? Exactly, they're not that popular, at least not in North America. Oh hey, it says it will give information about the characters and the stuff you buy! But guess what? It's just a picture of the character. Yeah, I guess that says more about them than their fighting styles, doesn't it? Remember how in Melee and Brawl it would tell you about a character you may never have seen before? Like how it was the first time many people outside of Japan heard about Marth and Roy, and they could read about them and find out who they were. Yeah, too bad this game didn't do it. Oh, and I can buy the endings so I can watch them again? Ah, but it doesn't have the text. Oh well, those endings weren't that great. Most of them don't even make sense anyways. To be honest, I found myself questioning what kind of recommendation I can give it. It's a short game that has very few modes worth playing, but then again, fighters are usually supposed to be played competitively in the versus mode, which can keep it running for a very long time. Plus, it's also easy for anyone to pick up and play with enough mechanics for those dedicated to fighting games to master. There's a lot of cool characters to try out, but the rewards just don't seem worth the effort, except for unlocking new characters. A 4 out of 5 or a 5 out of 5? Well, it looks like I'll have to ask myself those same 3 questions I asked myself in the Sonic Labyrinth review. Number 1, did I have fun playing this game? Yes I did. Number 2, would I be willing to go back and play it again from beginning to end? You mean like unlocking everything again? Probably not. Number 3, are there any parts of the game I'd be willing to go back and play? Yeah, the versus mode. Well, that was an easy tiebreaker. A 5 out of 5. It's a great game to add to your collection.
Yo, no watch this stuff, is this love? You may feel like you can't go on. If we try side by side, we'll survive, never die. Now you feeling my flow, know what I mean? No doubt that you feel it like I do. Don't let a chance like this pass by you. I'll come like you and me is meant to be. Let's fly across the board. The perfect combo, you and me, can you see? Come on, let's fly across the board. Perfect combo, you and me, baby. Come on, let's fly across the board. If we try side by side, we'll survive, never die. Fly across the board.